This is the North End. This is the North End.
What up, party people? This is the North End, a YouTube Premier League fan channel. It is the summer transfer window, shut it down, deadline day. My least favorite day. It's like I love Christmas, and then Christmas comes and it's over, and then I'm sad. I love transfer day the same way I love Christmas, JP California. I'm not even exaggerating. Now all we get to do is watch guys kick balls around for 90 minutes. That's boring. I like the intrigue of transfers, JP.
I like the rumors, but man, it is kind of like Christmas in the fact you're expecting that bike your dad promised you months ago, and then nothing happens, and you're sitting there and you're looking under the tree, and there's there's a deck of cards, and there's a shoebox full of little trinkets, and there's no bike.
It's sad, but completely accurate. I know exactly what you mean.
Oh God, you got your hopes up so much for so many different things, and then you're slowly let down. Like I feel like that's an 8-year-old Christmas in a box right there.
You're like sitting there just going, what other former Premier League great can we get in to manage my team that can replace this loser of a Premier League great? No, that's a cheap shot. I know. You know why I gave the cheap shot? Because for a couple of weeks you were just really aggressive shitting on Man United, and I've been kind of biding my time. But Paul Forrest keeps receipts. He keeps receipts. Okay, that's what you gotta know.
You guys didn't get the most expensive bike of them all, so. That little blonde kid that Man U was going to go for.
Yeah,
I forget
guess
his name.
what? Because we're the rich kid with the nice house that can afford the nice bike, motherfucker. We can buy 5 of those bikes. Okay? I'm not even going to be apologetic about it. I usually don't like being this guy.
You're like
at the same time.
You're like
I don't want to hear people talk about like, oh, he costs a
friends.
lot of money. It's such a bad thing. I'm like, well, we have money, guys.
I like this analogy. We should stay on this analogy. Like you're like the rich kid who buys all his friends things to keep them around, and then you're like, yeah, we're awesome, and then it's like everybody else is like, we kind of hate you. Well then,
I don't know who Manchester City would be in this analogy. I don't know, but we'll talk about them in a second as well.
Villa's Kenny from South Park.
Yeah, it's you know what it is? It's a little bit like Man United or the old money, where everybody's hated them for a long time with the pretense that they spend so much money. And now Man City are the new money, but people are kind of letting it slide because you're like, oh, they're just
the influencer money.
It's, they're just that Ferrari's like, whatever.
Yeah,
but
whatever.
Like over the course of years, they're whatever. I don't know. I don't want to slide into how much I dislike what they do, but I do. More power to them. Whatever. They have the money. They can spend it.
Whatever. I guess we're in the Bundesliga now. It's fine.
Yeah.
Made that joke a lot. So
I am going to put up something on screen. And I'm
hi, Luke. Oh, wait. He's not here. Where you at, Luke?
Oh, yeah. No, we don't really care about Luke. He was always a bit of a... Honestly, he always just kind of slowed us down anyways, right? You know what I mean? He's like a dead weight. Hopefully this works.
Short dead weight.
I am intending to share something on the screen. And of course, if it doesn't work, I have a plan B that's completely fine as well. I can read. Chrome has not permission to capture your screen. This straight up happened to me on a business call the other day, where something all of a sudden decided that I don't give you permission to share your screen. It was kind of an important business meeting. It was a really shitty moment, and now I'm doing it again on this show. So how about my week, JP? How about my week? So I'll read it. BBC has a really cool website. If you hit refresh, the list of actual transfers that have crossed the line change constantly. Like, for example, Billy Gilmore to Brighton.
Yeah, done deal.
That was a refresh button. Wasn't there a minute ago. I hit refresh, and look, it happened. It happened. Oh, my God. JP, it happened.
Dude, so I think that's a solid buy for them. I think he's going to do great. Brighton's the place to go. If you want to be coached and you're kind of a young kid, or you're a player who's just kind of coming of his own, I think Brighton's the place to be. Graham Potter,
he's great. I don't know. Billy Gilmore, I was expecting a lot out of Norwich, and I really like him. He's like a little Scottish like pass machine, but I just don't know if he's got the chops, to be honest, with the old Premier League. That's what I'm saying. So I'm gonna highlight some of the maybe the bigger deals that happened today. Aubameyang, complete with a broken jaw because he got robbed in his own house and beat up a little bit. Is talking some smack about being back in London, and he's looking very pleased with himself. I'm sure Arsenal fans are pissed.
I'm wondering if he like set this up almost like this could have been set up years ago to just get out of Arsenal to get to Chelsea.
No, man. No. I think he's probably legitimately bummed that he's not going to be at Barcelona for longer than he probably was intending to be, because he actually did quite well there, and I think it's a little bit of a surprise. But he probably went over there with mega money, and that madness is happening at Barcelona. I'm generally surprised there aren't more exits coming out of them. But Aubameyang, 12 million. He is the striker that I think people are starting to realize that Chelsea need. Tuchel loves him. They've got a bromance that is maybe 7 years ago or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
He wasn't banging in goals. He wasn't looking good when he was playing for Arsenal and Arteta. And that's kind of a concern because Arteta's got Arsenal playing in a way where
really well.
You got to put in the effort. He's not super demanding. He's not demanding anything crazy. So I don't know what Tuchel thinks he's going to get out of Chelsea with Aubameyang, because I just kind of feel like for me his time is done, and this is probably, I mean, for 12 million worth the gamble, but.
He's still a quick player. He still has fitness in him, but he's over that age again. Like we've been saying, Chelsea have been recruiting, and it's starting to show for some of their games that these guys over 30 are losing their pace pretty drastically. And while Aubameyang's still really quick and can probably do a number, how much work, how much energy is he going to be putting into a Chelsea team that needs to make up some ground, honestly?
Yeah. I don't know. This whole transfer window for Chelsea for me has been
weird.
They've quietly not gotten the attention that other clubs like Man United have had. Like they're just not really being questioned. But they have this American owner come in. He seems like he was really chasing everybody and anybody like a FIFA video game.
Yeah.
Didn't get a lot of his primary targets. Brought in some really quality players for sure, but in a way where I am suspicious of what's going on and how they're managing things, and under circumstances that were weird as well. Like Peter Cech leaves, and everybody who seems to know the actual sport and how to build a club and a squad all left. And I mean, some of these purchases feel like a guy who is like, I got some money to spend in a video game, and
Let me just ask a few people around the circuit who's a good player and likes to pull him in.
Yeah, but they are rebuilding a defense, so he needs to.
They bought a lot of young guys too. They bought a lot of young guys.
Hasn't been by any stretch like a terrible window for them. It's actually, some may say it's even been a very good window considering how many players they lost. But another deadline day signing for
this one I do like. I like Zachariah a lot.
Zachariah, who in January of last year was heavily attached to a lot of clubs, including Man United, who were desperately in need of a defensive midfield player. His stats were always highlighted. He was always kind of pushed out as being like this really great bargain signing that was available. He ended up going to Juventus and just never did anything.
Well, I saw him do substitute appearances where he'd come in and kind of shadow. He'd like protect the back line. He's a big body. He's athletic as all hell. But I don't know. I don't know how he never really broke into that starting lineup. Maybe it just wasn't. He's not the right player for their system. But I think he is a really good 6 or a job to do in the 8 box. So I think he's going to do just fine at Chelsea.
Is he better than anybody they already have?
Conte's injured all the time, though.
I know, but Conte is more than just a defensive midfield player.
He's injured. If he's injured, he can't play.
I understand, but my point is when Conte is playing and they're ticking over and they're looking really good, he is a defensive midfield player for sure.
Right.
But it's not like you can just bring in any defensive midfield player and all of a sudden they're all ticking over. Like they're 100%. not being. Their issue is more in the transition and what Conte can do to transition them fast. It's not like their back four are not being effectively shielded. This guy's a human shield. I don't know if he
100%.
has what it takes to like bring that little extra that makes Conte like just so good. Like to be able to destroy as much as he can and also
I don't
start
think anybody
attacks
can
quickly.
replicate Conte in what Conte does,
Nobody
because
can.
Conte
Yeah.
was insane.
That's a
But
fair
I think he gives Chelsea a little depth at that center defensive mid for an aging squad who has legs, especially when you got two center backs that are 34 and 37 or something like that. You kind of need a younger, fitter guy who can jump in and do a job in front of them. And I think this is it's a loan too at first. If I'm not, it's a loan and then it's a buy. So I think it's a no risk kind of jump for them.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, having heard about this guy for so long, I'm very curious to see what he can bring to the Premier League. I will say that I'm very curious about what this guy's got.
I am interested.
I'm also very curious to know what 85 million buys you these days, because Antony is a Man United superstar that nobody had heard of a month ago, unless you're very into the world of football. You may have heard of him, but a lot of people had never heard of him, and all of a sudden he's 85 million. I, as a Man United fan, very excited about this signing. I don't care for the price tag very much, but at the same time, I'm not going to like remember the price tag every time I see him do a flick or a trick, or bring Old Trafford off its.
You will if his numbers aren't that great.
I mean, maybe my biggest thing is always, by bringing him in, do we not get somebody else? You know what I mean? Like that's always the only thing I ever care about, is like, who did we miss by bringing in this guy? Yeah. And it's usually with Man United. It's not usually like Harry Maguire for 80 million or whatever. It's like, it's cool, but like at the time we bought him, there was nobody else that was really as good as he was as an option to bring in, and then we overpaid. Right. But I can't look back at it and go, well, at the time we should have bought this guy, and this guy, because I still remember who was available, and there was nobody available, and we overpaid on him. But there was no transfers that we weren't able to do after that because we didn't have enough money.
Right.
So
it's just,
once you start,
who else was on that list? There's always that thing. It's like you pick this guy. Maybe he's not your first choice. Maybe he's Man U's third choice, right? But you get him, and he doesn't quite, maybe he can't shoulder the burden of the expectations.
Sure.
But your fourth or fifth choice is just lights out somewhere else on a smaller step up, and maybe could have made that jump. It's just when you get a price tag that big, it's just, let's wait and see. Let's
like the standard we were 5 million short of buying a guy and somebody else got him. Would we have been 5 million short if we hadn't blown all our money on so-and-so? But this window, this never came up. Like if De Jong went to Chelsea,
how much money did you guys spend this time?
We spent a lot of money, but like there wasn't a single transfer that I know of that we didn't get it because we didn't have the money anymore. Like De Jong, I'll give you an example. If De Jong was available and he went to Chelsea because Chelsea had the money and we had blown our money on Anthony, I would have been like, well, fuck, that's ridiculous. But that never happened. So again, you got money, spend the money. Like it's all about making the team better. So yeah, I'm very excited about this player. I think he's exactly what the manager wants, which is an indication of change for me at Man United. We're buying who the manager wants. We're not haggling over dollars, which is great. I don't know. Does it work out? I don't know. Do we overpay? Yes, we absolutely did overpay. Do I actually think it's that big a crime to overpay on a player when you're a club the size of Man United? I actually don't. I think
clubs are going to take you to the fucking moon anyways, right?
I think it's just something fans from Everton or Leeds get to chirp you about. But we have more money than all those clubs, so we're not on the same standard, and it's just a sad reality. But I do hope he does some stuff, and I don't have to hear about his price tag all the time, because that always gets old. Ryan Ireland will talk about it all the time.
I will hit that button until the end of the season if it happens.
Oh yeah. How's Coutinho? How's Coutinho going?
I'm happy he was only 17 mil.
Yeah. No,
I mean, but I'm very, very unhappy with him. But I also think this player
17 mil, by the way, is if you do the math, it's an Aston Villa 1 billion.
Well, fuck you. That's like 40 million, okay?
It's the catering budget of the party at Man United, and it's an Aston Villa 1 billion.
Yeah, because you have like 70 players that don't play. But I do think it's going to take him 6 months to get started. That's the
he'll get going right away. You watch. This is a good one.
This is a good buy. I like this buy for United, honestly.
Martin Dubravka on a loan or potentially a buy. I've heard both. Either
I
way,
like this deal.
it's not a lot of money. He's a Premier League goalie. He was pushed out by an amazing Nick Pope. I think he plays the ball with his feet much better than David De Gea. I think he doesn't. He's not as good a shot stopper, but with the ball at his feet, he's going to show everybody how Eric Ten Hag wants the team to play. Whether he ends up being that guy long term, or if he's just there to help us kind of like initiate or showcase what the new lineup and the new setup could do with the ball playing keeper, we'll find out. But if De Gea goes down for whatever reason, I am happy we got a backup set of gloves. It's a little bit more than just a backup, I suspect. So that's why I'm spending some more time on a backup goalie. But I think it's a good deal. This one, my friend, I am interested to hear how this got down. Because Luiz moving on Arsenal was all the talk today.
Oh man, it was close. He was, and the word is from everything was he was in London. It wasn't just like he was waiting. He was in London. He had agreed terms. Villa and Arsenal could not agree, but this deal did get through the line. Don Decker for 12 to 13 million pounds. He's 6'2". He's 26. He's had 130 games for them. He's been there for 2 or 3 years. I think this is a really astute signing for Villa because we need a big guy. We need a big center mid. I've been calling for it for a long time. It was very clear that Villa were going for somebody over the 6'1" range. He's a good short passer. He keeps the ball ticking. It's just going to come down to if Steven Gerrard can pull his head out of his ass and play the right formation with the right guys and coach them well. I honestly like this signing well. I really do. I think he's going to be just right. He's kind of that fighter that you need. Who's that, Dan Burn or whatever that freaking Newcastle got, who's just that grudgy guy. And I like him. I like it.
So I probably have watched him more than you because I watch a lot of
Wolves.
Wolves.
You actually like Wolves.
I actually do like Wolves. I like the way they play. And he's a big body. He's pretty mobile for a big body guy. He's not he typically gets involved more because he reads plays really well, less than he destroys. Which is fine. Like he's a smart player, and when he gets the ball at his feet, he has shades of, I mean, everybody has shades of a Michael Carrick kind of style of passing, so I don't want to oversell him on this, but he does move the ball fairly well. He keeps it simple. Yeah. But I do think that's largely because Neves has the job in the Wolves squad to be the guy who's the primary ball distributor. I've seen this guy before he even went to Wolves, and he was really good at moving the ball between the lines. He's got a pass on him. So yeah. I like that signing. I'm actually a little bit surprised he moved on from Wolves.
I am too. Honest, and for the price,
aren't they rivals?
Kind of. I mean, they're just local rivals, and Wolves has honestly in the last few years surpassed us quite a bit. I'm not of any illusion about that, and Villa fans might be pissed at me for saying that, but they are ahead of us. And for us to nab one of these players who is in and out of their starting team quite a bit, I'm happy. Yeah, it's just he needs to be teamed with the right guys in the midfield, and honestly, Villa need to step away from John McGinn for a while because he is underperforming big time.
I am just going to highlight a bigger theme. Genuinely surprised that Ruben Neves stayed at Wolves.
Oh my gosh!
This summer. I mean, there's a few names we could probably go through where we're just like Tielemans at Leicester against Man United, and as soon as I saw him in starting 11, I was just like, really? Like we're really not selling him? He's really not moving on from fucking
Douglas Luiz for Villa, and we have 1 year on his contract. Tielemans is 1 year.
A lot of players that I actually think would improve so many teams. But
I thought Gallagher was going to go somewhere too.
I really thought Gallagher was going to call it. Like even now with another midfield player being added to that Chelsea squad. I guess the distinction is, I suspect this is true. I hope I'm not embarrassing myself, but there's a deadline and then there's a loan deadline.
There is.
I think the
it's
loan
2
deadline's
weeks.
different.
A week.
Yeah,
The loan
so
deadline is in like a week or 2 weeks.
a Ruben Neves is not going to get loaned, but it is possible for a Gallagher to get loaned out again. Although at this point, I don't know
if, and this is where I don't know. I don't know if you can have a buy on a loan player past the buy window. That's the thing.
Oh yeah, that would be the ultimate. Like, oh yeah, no, he's a loan. Wink.
He's a loan. Yeah, we'll sell you though.
Wink.
Yeah.
This is Kaji.
Hold my hands up. I know nothing about him.
He's left-footed. He is Swiss or Swedish. One of those two. He's very good. Bruce McDormand. He had a lot of injuries, and I think he had a trajectory where he was looking like he was going to be a real star, and the trajectory started to really plateau in the Bundesliga, where I really think that unless you're like constantly moving up that trajectory, you are not going to make it in the Premier League. Like if you've already hit your plateau in the Bundesliga, unless you've gone to Bayern Munich, you're probably not going to do well in the Premier League. Not to say he won't do well for Man City. He's obviously going to be brought in for depth. I don't know how comfortable they are with their current lineup of defenders.
I don't think they are. I don't think they're very happy at all.
Nathan Naki is an example of a guy who got brought in. He's there for depth. He's left-footed. He's a center back. Has he played well? I think considering he's a rotational player, yeah, for sure. But to be bringing in this guy who's left-footed as a center back and is also a rotational player, it does suspect that something is going on with the 17 central defenders that Pep Guardiola has at his disposal.
$1 billion.
They do tend to bring in the replacements before they need them.
Yeah, they do.
And Ake might be the next guy out in a year, like
in January.
Which is, I can remember the times that Man United used to do that, and that's kind of how you stay top dog. But this was like a good signing. This is a guy who had, I think, a year left on his contract.
Did I see it was like? I think it was also like 17 million. So I think it's a good fee.
They got the money. They don't care.
Yeah.
Idris Gueye. Terrible pronunciation of his name. I've always struggled with
Idrissa Gueye.
Idrissa
Gana Gueye, yeah.
I would say Everton hero who left and went off to PSG is coming back. And
we sold him to Everton, actually.
And when he was in Everton, he was like one of the best central midfield players in the league.
He is
tackles, interceptions.
Conte-esque player. He is fast. He is super athletic. He can distribute the ball. He does the simple things. I can't believe he didn't go to somebody higher up the table than Everton, because he could have gone to in my opinion, he could have gone to anybody outside of the top two. He could have gone to any side.
I think he had a kind of an injury-plagued time at PSG. I think he had his big money move. I think he's looking to just get back into the swing of regular football again.
Yeah.
Maybe the comfort of Everton, who he must be looking at from the outside and going, they are struggling.
Yes.
And maybe there's a certain romance of wanting to come back and help them out. I like the signing. I'm going to assume that they still have money to pay him, and he's going to be paid handsomely for his return and his services. I don't have a slate for it, but Everton also picked up James Garner for a shockingly low $9 million is what I've heard from Manchester United. I am devastated. I am heartbroken. I am lost in a sea of pain and regret. There's going to be some sort of sell-on clause, but maybe not a buy-on or buyback clause for James Garner. So, I don't know, a kind of busy day for Everton in the last day of the transfer window.
Is he going to get game time there, like legit game time, or is he trying to break into the squad?
No, he'll break in. He'll break in.
I hope so.
He's so good.
I hope he gets game time. It is. I hate when that happens, though. You see like a youth player coming through and you're like, this guy's going to be big. You can see it. And they just aren't going to get game time at your club. So you loan him out, and that's another loan, and it's another loan. And then he gets sold to a championship team. And you're like, he's like that kid you just wanted to do well down the street. And, he ends up at a whorehouse or something.
Yeah, it's always a whorehouse, isn't it, with you?
Or drugs.
Always goes back to a whorehouse.
Rock and roll.
I think It's Gomes. I don't think that's right, but Everton's midfield player Gomes, who had that nasty leg break like a season ago.
Oh yes,
He's
yes.
he's moved on apparently.
Wow, that was fast.
Yeah,
Thank you for your time. Get out.
He's gone on to the French league. So they're rejigging their midfield a bit. It seems like that was the goal for today.
Can I also state it seemed like a lot of players, it seemed like a lot of Premier League teams recruited from the French league, Brazil, and not as many from the Bundesliga or Serie A than it used to be.
Yeah, it's that's
a lot
true.
from France. A lot
that's
from
true.
France this time.
I think France has this reputation now of being very physical. Like it's not as physical as the Premier League, but it is one of the more physical leagues. And the feeder base of talent that goes into the French leagues. So I've read a few different studies that kind of outline like what leagues are the most productive transfers into the Premier League. And the French league does very well. Portugal does very well. And Spain does pretty good as well. But I think it always kind of depends on like if you're a Spanish player in the Spanish league, you usually get poached by Real Madrid, Barcelona, like Atletico Madrid. Like you get fed into your own league. The French league, I don't think that happens as much because nobody goes from Nice to Lyon. They go from Nice to PSG, or they go from Nice to I'm into a different league. Yeah. So I think that's partially why we see a lot of that. Just a theory, folks. Just a theory.
I do know that the French league for television rights fell out, and they had to sell back their rights at a discounted 50% price. So a lot of clubs were expecting to get a big payday, and they got screwed. So I'm wondering if this is why extra players were coming from France, because those clubs needed money bad.
Contextually, right now, the French league is like a fire sale.
Yeah,
like there's so many there could have been so many more transfers out of France, but I do think it's like one of those things where, not everybody who comes from the French league, like Pepe, who lights it up there, who goes to Arsenal, are going to do well. Like it is still a buyer beware situation.
Yeah.
When you buy from any league other than the Premier League, you don't know how they're going to take to the Premier League.
100%.
It's always a guess. That's unless they come from Ajax, in which case they're guaranteed to be a superstar.
Really?
Yeah, I said it.
Who's that guy you got last summer?
I said
it was 2 summers ago.
Oh, he's a superstar. Don't worry about it.
Wasn't he at Everton for long?
Sure, he's a superstar.
Yeah, okay.
Artur is how I'm going to say his name. Brazilian. 2 or 3 years ago, this guy was purchased from a Brazilian team, went to Barcelona. His stats were insane. His percentage for passing is like a high 90s. Like it was just, he got dubbed the next Xavi or an Iniesta or some sort of unfair, you are the next comparison. I think he was a superstar signing during the worst possible time to join Barcelona. I think
there's never a good time at this point.
He apparently struggled with a transition into the lifestyle of a very well-paid football player. He had images that came out in Spanish publications of him partying into the night. He had kind of this reputation of being a party boy. I think he started getting a little bit knocks here and there. Apparently, the story with this guy is that it wasn't because they wanted to move him on, but for financial reasons, they sold him for something close to 70 million to Juventus. Juventus sold Pjanic, I think that's how you say it, back to Barcelona in what was basically 2 identical profile players swapping teams, except one was this guy and he was 23 years old and one was almost 30 or was 30. And everybody at Barcelona was like, what the hell is going on here? Why did we upgrade to an older version of the same profile? And I think it was mostly a move to get him off the books eventually, because they successfully did that. Apparently, he's been at Juventus. He's had a hard time betting in. He's had a hard time adapting. I think everybody who knows Juventus, if we don't necessarily know Juventus. So the thing I'm going to highlight that I think is the most interesting thing about Juventus, because this came up when we were looking at, when Man United was looking at Rabiot, is they've had 3 or 4 managers in the same time of 3 to 4 years. So they have no style of play. They have no real organization. there's a lot of players at Juventus that are just struggling, largely because there's been so like few like set rules on how things are done. So if I'm a Liverpool fan, I'm excited about this guy because you need a midfield player. He can play box to box. He can play it.
You went mute. Hold on. You're muted. Something happened. I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, but it's bad. That is an echo.
But I can't hear you, JP.
That's what's going on.
This is why we do it, folks.
How about now? Can you hear me now? Okay, I still can't hear you. Did you mute? Is the mute button clicked? Because mine was clicked out of nowhere.
What just happened?
I don't know. It muted me out of nowhere.
Are we not paying our bills? Is that why?
Well, we need to get some more sponsorships going. Where's that Manscaped at?
Manscaped, we're sorry. Okay, JP, can you hear me now?
You're good, dude.
Oh my God.
I'm tweeting for us right now, so.
Oh, good. Okay. I was so confused because your head was down. Anyways, my whole point is, guys, I think this guy might be a real fucking solid signing for Liverpool, and it annoys me. There, I said it. I'm probably more excited about this player for Liverpool than most Liverpool fans are. I think he's a player. I think there's something really exciting about him. Get excited.
See if he can do it in the physicality of the EPL if he was carrying knocks. So this will be a little interesting.
Yeah, but a lot of his knocks were just falling down drunk outside the club. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Nobody parties in Liverpool.
No, it's usually dead.
Fulham had kind of an interesting little last tag of the day. They get Dan James on loan, who at first I was like, what? That's weird. And then I started realizing Fulham are like pressing machines and high tempo machines and are the new Bielsa ball 2.0 team in the Premier League. And I was like, I like this signing for them. And then they got Carlos Vinicius, who is a failed Spurs signing and isn't great, but for a Fulham, for a promoted team, I don't mind this.
I saw this, and while you're looking at Fulham in that aspect, I was looking at Leeds and thinking, I know Leeds has had a really good start to the season. They've gotten some legit players, but Dan James was kind of key to that. He was playing quite a bit. So what kind of gives? There's a quick sell for them. They just got him. And did they just get him in January?
Well, no, he was a Bielsa guy. He was sold, I think last summer. But he was definitely bought because Bielsa loved him.
Well, yeah.
For how he wanted the game to be played, he was on fire. Like that was his whole thing. And I just think philosophically he's a victim of the coaching change at Leeds.
Yes.
I think he probably got a pretty decent wage package when he went over from Man United. I don't think he's necessarily where they're going, so they're just trying to cash in their chips now. And he may be somebody who's like aware of the lack of playing time that's coming up. He's a Welsh international. He might be kind of aware of the impact of playing time, and so it's a weird. I'd be very curious to see how he gets used.
Yes,
because Fulham also signed Willian today.
I don't think Willian's going to get that much time. He looked trash when he left Arsenal. They couldn't get him out the door fast enough.
Yeah, but now all of a sudden, this team has got options. Out of nowhere. This team that was so reliant on big target man Mitrovic has got speed everywhere around.
It'll be interesting to see how they blend Mitrovic with some of these players who are really quick and can clearly do the old school flick down. Let me hold up the ball, lay it off. Make sure you pick them up on your fantasy team, folks.
Well, I don't know. It's still Fulham. Let's not get too excited.
It is still Fulham.
Let's not get too excited. I don't have a slate for it, and I only just learned about this, but Oriol Romeo, the kind of very talented center defensive midfield player for Southampton, is off to Girona in Italy
What?
for an undisclosed fee. Yeah, man. Can you believe it?
I cannot believe it. Like that's kind of their go. That's their guy.
Not anymore. It's not.
They must have gotten a tidy little fee right there that would pay off some of the new guys coming in, because that's kind of the Southampton way, right? You build them up, you play them, you get them to a level, then you make a profit, and you buy a youth guy coming through. But that is kind of, I mean, he is getting up there in age. I think he's like 28 now, 29. So
They had a busy
I'm not
day.
super surprised.
Southampton brought in 4 players today.
Oh, wait, they did get that Man City player, right?
So Southampton brought in, I'm not going to say this right, Duje Kaleta Carr from Marseille. They brought in Samuel Adozi from Manchester City.
Winger. He's
Juan
really well
Lorius from Manchester City. And Ainsley Maitland-Niles from Arsenal, who's never going to make it in the Premier League.
And they had already gotten 2 other players from Man City. They've got 4 guys from Man City this summer.
Yeah, it's weird. They're supposed to be the feeder team to the Premier League. They're not supposed to be fed from Man City. Like,
instead of giving their guys to Liverpool, now they're just like, oh, we'll take the Man City C players.
Yeah. Watch this space. Watch who all of a sudden turns up to be the shirt sponsor for Southampton in the next couple of weeks. Qatar Airlines.
Come to the Etihad.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting anything. I'm outright accusing them. So JP, let's talk a little bit about the season before we kind of end the show. It was a midweek season, midweek game. Current standings: Arsenal top of the table ahead of Manchester City.
God, they look good.
Are we just blown away, surprised?
No, I called it. I called it. I said next year, and I said this in like December or January. I said, guys, Arsenal's young. They're getting their licks in right now. They're not going to be top contenders, but next year they're going to be up there. And you guys all gave me shit.
Hang on. Let's be very clear about a couple of things. Number one, you guys includes me, which is lazy on your part, because I was never one of the guys who said not Arsenal. I have Arsenal finishing in the top 4. I'm not asking if you're surprised they're doing well. I'm asking if you're surprised at this point of the season they're number 1, undefeated.
I am surprised they are number 1. I am not surprised they are undefeated. Their lineup, their starting of the season was not extremely difficult.
Okay.
Because they
are you surprised that with 2 games that should have easily been won, probably on paper, Man United find themselves in 5th?
Oh yeah. I mean, yes and no, because I believe Man U would be a different team because of their coach, but I do not believe. I mean, up until about, I don't know, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I did not believe they had done enough proper recruiting for him. So I was not shocked with the start of the season for Man U because they were there. It's almost the same team. It's almost the same team. So
I am surprised. I'm gonna look at this and I'm gonna say I am surprised to see Tottenham in 3rd, because I have not thought they've played particularly well yet.
I thought they played
on paper. I know who they are, so I wouldn't be like, oh, why are they in 3rd? I'm not. I get why they should be 3rd, all that, but I've seen all the games. I just feels like they probably deserve to have lose some points along the way from what I've seen, because they haven't hit their gears yet. And hey, Tottenham fans, that's good news for you guys.
That's winning or getting points when you shouldn't.
Yeah, that's amazing news.
That's the trait of a good team, right? That's the trait of a good team who's coached well, is you don't play well and you still pick up points, ties, and wins when you probably don't deserve them. So I think, I'm a little worried now. What happens when they start to play well? What happens when Kane starts to hit them in?
Are we worried about Chelsea?
I know my Chelsea.
If you're a Chelsea fan, if you were a Chelsea fan right now, would you be like, ooh?
Yes, I know my Chelsea fans are worried. He thinks top 4 is already gone.
Oh,
he has not been super impressed by the recruiting. He's not super impressed with the new owner. He is my boy Willie is
Willie. What up? Up.
Yeah, Willie. He's not saying they're going down, but I don't think he's expecting a title race or even top 3. Top
Oh,
four.
that's a shame.
Yeah.
Now we can't not ask this question. Second last.
Oh, I thought we
Aston
were going
Villa.
to go to Holland. We don't want to
No,
talk about
second
Holland.
last. Second last.
Oh God, where do I?
We can talk
start?
about Holland if you want. I don't think anybody's actually that surprised he's banging in goals.
I'm not.
No. No, JP. Nobody said he wasn't going to bang in goals.
You
I
guys,
still stand by what I'm saying. He's going to get injured at some point in the season because he's injury prone. That's all I've ever said.
I think
5
he's
games
gonna,
into the season banging goals, that's great. But like if he goes,
he's
this
only
season-
touching the ball like 7 times a game, and he's getting 2 goals.
Yeah.
Like, how can you
And
get
they're
injured if you're
tap-ins.
not on the ball?
They are tap in goals as well.
It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
I'm stoked for him. I like him. I hate Man City, but I love Holland. So
I don't understand where this comes from. I really don't.
I don't either. Maybe it's about this like weirdly tall, big guy who
He's an
clearly,
infinitely unlikable guy. If he's not
dude,
on your
he
team.
moves like a newborn giraffe, and I don't know. It
Sure.
works. It works.
So when you
Now-
watch
now-
Rocky 4 or 5 when he's fighting Drago in Russia, are you like rooting? Are you rooting for Drago? Is that your thing? Is that you're like, oh,
I mean,
he's
at
so
that
big.
point, I'm pretty over the America hurrah hurrah. So maybe a little.
Did you see the way he walked into the ring with those cold, icy blue eyes? Drago.
Dude's not gonna like that.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Villa.
But Aston
Oh,
Villa's a
God.
question. I think we need to talk about Aston Villa just for a second.
No,
Fair
I-
to say that Stevie G's on the hot seat.
Good God, I think he has 3 games now to prove his worth. We got Man City
Okay.
at the weekend. If we lose by more than 3, he's clearly not up for it. But if we lose by only 1 or 2, I'll be really stoked. But then he has Leicester and Southampton. And for me, Arsenal, when we played Arsenal, we were up for the fight. We just did not look like we had a system. We did not look like we have been drilled to play away. We don't look like we know how to break teams down. We just don't look coached.
Right.
And with the squad that we have, the millions upon millions, tens of hundreds of millions put into the squad, he needs to be doing better. 100%.
Right.
So he has 3 games for me, and then I'm yanking the cord. And honestly, it might be too late. He might already be on the deck walking.
Do you think he outlasts Leicester, Brendan Rodgers? Because I think they're both their necks are out right now. Their chins are out.
If we beat Leicester, no, I think Rodgers is gone. But if we lose to Leicester, who's in last place, and then we draw with Southampton, it's over.
I don't like seeing managers getting fired, but I do like it when 2 managers that are like both in the same position face off.
Yeah.
It makes me happy.
You almost can't fire Steven Gerrard if you lose to Man City because it's Man City.
Yeah.
I mean, Bournemouth did it, but whatever.
Let's fire through this upcoming game week. Let me just hang
let's
on.
do it. I gotta get out of
Let
here.
me just hang on. Let me just refresh this transfer page to make sure that while we've been talking, there isn't something super exciting like De Jong.
Holland's been injured.
No, that doesn't happen. The transfer.
Wow, Billy Gilmore was only
Billy
7.5 million. Wow.
Billy Gilmore is still the last one. Okay, Everton are going to get their asses handed to them by a resurgent and thirsty and hungry and young Liverpool is what we could all likely expect. I'm still not entirely convinced by what I've seen by Liverpool. I know they just pulled out a very late winner against Newcastle. They are not playing the way Liverpool usually play. This is not the same team. This is a different animal. I don't think Everton are playing well either. This should be on paper a win, but I'm just in a weird place right now with Liverpool where I don't think I would be putting money on them, whereas normally I would 100% be putting money on them. It feels like they've got some shit to work out, and maybe it's in development. Maybe it's happening right now for all I know, but yeah, I don't know. This is going to be an exciting. I don't
see Everton beating them though. I see 50% Liverpool win and a 40% draw and 10% Everton win.
Yeah, it's going to be like one of those ones where I'm not saying watch your space. Everton's going to win. It's more like a 100% confidence in Liverpool has come down to 60-40.
Yeah.
There's a vulnerability there. Brighton Leeds. I think this is going to be a banger. I think it's going to be a fun game. I think it's going to be the new Leeds. It should be a great game to watch. Chelsea and West Ham in a London derby.
West
you know,
Ham looked terrible,
I know, but like Chelsea are not great either. And
and so I think they'll beat them. I think I got a lot of confidence in Chelsea to beat West Ham.
I don't know. I would like to see Declan Rice just put on a show against a club that probably is going to end up buying him one day. I just think this is a bad time for Chelsea to be hosting West Ham, if there is ever a good time for that. But I just feel like Chelsea probably need a guppy game, like a very winnable Leicester. Like
wow, we played West Ham the other week, and they had a half where it didn't even look like they were trying. They didn't even want to play, and then they had half a game where they tried a little bit. I don't have much for West Ham right now.
Really?
And I picked for them. I know.
Somebody
at
the start of the season.
I know. They have done me dirty.
Newcastle, who almost
This is
beat Liverpool. If it wasn't for the 55 extra minutes of added time, after the added time had already passed against Liverpool, they would have pulled off the win. I felt really bad for Newcastle on this. I thought they played really well. I thought Isaac looked really interesting and sharp and bright. And I think Newcastle are going to take it to Crystal Palace.
I don't know. I think Crystal Palace is a very underrated team right now. I think they have plenty going for them. I do think Newcastle look very good. I'm going to say this to me is the most interesting game of the weekend to watch.
Oh, we're going to label this one most interesting game of the week to watch. It's
Yes.
not true, but that's fine. You're allowed your
take
opinion. Nottingham Forest, who signed 75 new players in the summer transfer window, 4 today. Obviously, I'm exaggerating, but the number was something close to 21 or 22, if I'm doing the math right.
Yeah.
4 today. 4 players today, and they were all like guys that I thought were potential starters. Like Bali from Wolves is a good, tall, beastly French center back who has some injury problems that will walk into the Nottingham Forest back 4.
I don't know how they got all these guys. Like, did they just promise all these guys huge wages? Like, if they survive a year or what? Like, I don't understand. But whatever, this game means nothing.
I really do not understand the mathematics of Premier League. Like, I know they get a bunch of money when they get promoted, but like how Bournemouth doesn't spend anything and Nottingham Forest spends on par with Man United and Chelsea and Man City.
150. I didn't add in today, but it was 150.
Oh, so it'll be more. It'll be
be like 175 probably.
Penny pinching Spurs host Fulham. I like this matchup. I find this one to be the most interesting matchup for me because I really like the pace and tempo and guts I'm seeing from Fulham. And this is a big club they're playing. This is one of the bigger teams that they have faced off this season, I think. And I want to see what they can do on the road against Spurs. I do think Spurs should win this, but like I am fascinated by seeing what this Fulham team are able to do as we get into the 6th, the 8th, the 10th game of the season. If they can keep up this pace, I would like to know. Wolves, who are, I think, 3rd last in the league right now, despite the fact that they've been playing really well, are hosting Southampton. And if they could just score goals, they would be okay. They did buy a striker. They spent 12 or 15 million for
that giant, right?
A 6'5" striker who's the 3rd tallest player in the Premier League right now. I don't know if he starts right away. I don't know if he even starts, but they need to start getting goal scoring from somewhere. Yes. And they've had this dominant midfield for a long time. Nobody's moving on from that midfield that they really can't lose and replace with somebody. But for some reason, they just cannot get their shit together when it comes to bringing in attacking players. Southampton, I think, are vulnerable. They didn't look very good against Man United, but then they looked okay the next game. So they're kind of a hit and miss team.
They've been this way for years. They just scrape enough to get like 13, 14, 15 spot. They sell their best. They never replace them, and they still stay up. I kind of hope this is the year they go down because that means it's one less spot for Villa. But I don't know.
Let's talk about Villa now because we're talking about teams going down. 2nd last in the league, Villa hosting Manchester City.
Why? Why are
Erling
we talking
Haaland
about
with
this?
two back-to-back hat tricks. Can he make it 3?
First off, Holland's going to get 35 goals, and
In this
yeah,
game?
he might get double. He might get 6 in this game. So who knows? Captain him in fantasy, guys.
Yeah, he's gonna definitely get rotated for sure now.
It's the guys posted a GIF, and it's like the Simpsons, and it's like the little nerd in Simpsons kid is like, "Ha! I'm scared. I'm in trouble," and it's just
Well, hopefully, Stevie G doesn't get fired on the heels of this loss. It's unfair to fire a manager against teams that they should get beat up on. Parker was fired from Bournemouth for no reason, as far as I could tell, other than he maybe was like, "Hey guys, you gonna buy me some players?" Or, "Oh no, you're not." Oh.
The coach of the next game, Brendan Rodgers, ripped his owners a new one at the end of the transfer window today, basically saying like, "We were not helped, we were not supported this transfer window, we have not spent enough," and I'm definitely thinking it's Stevie G or his head is on the block for sure.
Oh, I think they're probably both gonna go. I would put money on both getting fired relatively soon.
Yeah, I would.
Like, that would be a fun day if it happened
Within
on
the
the same
next
day.
2
All the
weeks.
bookies would lose their mind.
Oh my god, if it happened on the same day.
Yeah. Brighton will beat Leicester based on what we just talked about.
3-0.
Brighton have looked really good, I think, this entire season. I think that is the model of a very well coached, well assembled team that are all working towards the same goal. Whether or not they have the depth to keep it up, I don't know. I doubt it. But they're looking really good. And I think Leicester looked okay today against Man United, but also it felt at times a little bit like a practice session. It didn't really feel like it was that big a deal.
We always said Brighton looked good, but they couldn't finish. Now they look good and they can finish.
Yeah.
And it's all clicking, and it's fucking dangerous. Like, they're good. They're really good.
Dangerous. Man United hosts Arsenal. I'm going to say it. I think that Arsenal don't look that good.
Oh,
I think Arsenal, when they play with Thomas Partey, have a Partey and look really good. I think when he gets injured, as I think he is currently, they do not look nearly as convincing, and they do not look the same team very dramatically. Yes, they've won every game this season so far, but I just don't think they've always looked that good. And I think Man United are in a similar situation where they've looked okay at times. They look really good at times. They're inconsistent. So this is which team of these two fledgling teams, and I'm still going to call Arsenal a fledgling team, even though Arteta has been at the helm for a few years now, is going to pull it off. I feel weirdly comfortable saying I like United to win this game.
That is a bold statement.
I said it while wearing a Man United hat.
I mean, it is a bold statement from a bold man. Considering Villa just played Arsenal.
Wait, what'd you say? Oh, bold man. Okay, that's fine.
Bold man. I did not say old. If I
bitch.
wanted to, I'd point to the beard, but I didn't say that.
I thought you were going to say bald. They all sound like bold.
A bulgy man, actually.
You know what? You could say I am a bald man. I'm bold.
Bald
old man.
Bulgy man.
Bold. He's a bald old man.
I think Arsenal is going to show you guys what you guys want to become. Honestly, I think Arsenal they should have destroyed Villa 7 or 8-1, honestly. And the only reason why we scored was from a direct corner directly. There was no hope for Villa to get anything out of that game. Arsenal, even without Partey, pass and move the ball with such distinction and such intent. It was beautiful to see. It was just so good to see a team that is fluid and on the same sheet, and everything about it was gorgeous. I can see why they are in first place with the teams they've played. This is going to be their first big test, and I see them rising to beat you guys.
We will see. I'll say it right now. Watch out for Cristiano Ronaldo.
It'll be a 1-1 draw.
It's gonna be a
snooze fest.
I really don't. I think it's gonna be a good game. I think
it will be a good game.
I mean, the one thing I will say, I think Ronaldo's gonna start. Good or bad, I don't know how that actually plays out, but I think he's gonna come out with a point to prove. They're
Did
going
he
to
score?
lose for
Who
sure
scored
now.
today for you guys?
Today, the goal was scored by Jadon Sancho,
Oh,
and it was gorgeous.
I'll have to take a look at that.
But there wasn't a lot of opportunities made today. It was kind of a weird game today. It was like they got the goal, and then it was kind of more about just like getting control of the game and not giving Leicester any opportunities to get back in it, which has been missing from that team for a long time, as opposed to get them out of the game by making opportunities and outscoring them.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a mixed bag. Like, I think most United fans would have liked it if they went for it for a second goal and then controlled the game, just so that, they don't pop up with
It was safe.
a James Maddison super goal or something. But whatever, they won. I don't care.
It is what it is.
Okay, JP California, that's
Awesome.
the end of the transfer window. Let me ask you this before we totally kick off, because I think it's relevant. Who would you say had the best transfer window this summer?
Well, I mean, early on, I would definitely say Tottenham. Not in the fourth. Forest got like 47 guys.
Yeah.
And Man City got Holland. So, shit, man, I don't know. This is a difficult one. I'm going to go with Tottenham. I think Tottenham had a really good window.
Yeah. Did they?
Yeah. Yeah, they did.
Name me a player that's had a real impact for them so far that they brought in this summer.
That really old guy, I can't remember his name, the guy at Perisic.
Has he had a really big impact for them this summer?
Yeah,
so far?
it's great. It's grips of opportunities for him. Kane just hasn't finished them.
Okay. I'm not saying in any way, shape, or form that Spurs haven't had a really good summer, because they have. I just kind of feel like a lot of people have blown up the impact of this summer to that squad, and I look at it and go, I don't really know where it's happening yet. Like Basuma is a great example. Amazing player. He hasn't really done anything for them yet, so I'm not really entirely sure if he is going to work out to the same level that I was hoping he was going to work out. Perisic is playing, but like, is he really doing all that much right now? Like, is he setting the Premier League on fire? Are we all looking at him going, who's this guy?
I mean, no, because
Arsenal.
He's older than me, so you probably shouldn't say who's this guy. You should probably know who he is, but he's good.
Right, but like
Arsenal had a very good window.
I think a lot of it has been given to him as reputation of what we all know he's been capable of.
I could take that back. I could say Arsenal had a better window. I could say Arsenal had a better window.
I tend to lean to Arsenal as having the better window. And then there's weird things like Saliba coming back from a loan isn't really it's not like a transfer thing, but
the quiet Zinchenko deal, which I really like. I really like the Zinchenko deal.
He walks into that team and he immediately makes them better. Gabriel Jesus walks into that team and he immediately makes them better. They've had players that have joined them this summer that are not just like your new option for left wing back. It's like the new guy who's going to be your main guy. They brought in 3 or 4 guys like that this summer. So I tend to lean towards them as having had the best transfer window. Special call out to Fulham as well. They've quietly done some good business for a promoted team. They didn't spend a ton of money, but they got some good stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
Anyways, that's the show, JP California. Say goodbye.
Like and subscribe, guys. Get after us. JP California, Paul Forrest, North End Podcast, or North End YouTube channel. Come love us. Give us some comments. Bye.
This is the North End. This is the North End.